Okay, finally, guys, I'm going to be. This is the fourth part of my Sunless Seas Let's Play, and finally, I'm going to stop talking talk, and I'm going to start sailing the sea. Sure. I am going to take to the sea. Now, as you can see, I have two main objectives. Well, this one, the ambitions one, is kind of. That's just more of like an overall one. I'm not really focusing on that. But the two things I really need to do is take this colonist to Vanderbright and take a passenger to, what do you calls it? No, that's weird, he's not even on here. Take him, it's funny, this one doesn't actually say where, but I'm taking him to Galer's Morn. You do not know where these places are yet. I do not either, because check it out. This is the map. Nice, isn't it? It's uniform. The only place we have discovered is Fallen London. I'm going to be setting out on this little tiny steamship. I'm at the max speed, by the way. I do not go very quickly, especially early game. It is very, very annoying. Oh yeah, I forgot one more thing. I gotta speak to this guy because it's not, look out. Look at it out there. It's not a friend. Do not forget that. This guy, along with any of the starting companions, basically does not want to stay on your ship. He wants to go to see Frostfound. Let's see, a place where the Z rises to become a castle. Frostfound is a very, very, very interesting place that I cannot go into in this. Like, I probably won't even go into this first captain, maybe not even to the second captain, but we will visit it and we will drop him off. Yes, you can proposition your officers, any of your officers. They always tend to have conditions, though. So yes, I am doing the very early game rigmarole of basically looking around and finding all the, like, things around Fallen London that you can find. In this case, here is what the Echo Bazaar looks like. Like I said, it's not necessarily a place, it's more of a thing, being. But the Department of Menace Eradication's over here. I do like the way that even without playing Fallen London, I still understood a lot of this game just from looking at everything. Like, you get the setting, the Victorian era. I love this. I love the soundtrack. The soundtrack is. I wish the soundtrack played more because it really does sell this game so well. It's this beautiful, haunting thing. And it really makes you feel like this sailor, like this captain, alone on this kind of terrifying journey when you think about it. As you can see, I'm starting to fill out the map a little. I'm gonna ignore that, obviously. And as you can see, I am just discovering things left and right. You got Rowan's Rock, Rowena's Rock. It's Rowena's Rocks. It's like this little thing. It's got a lamp on it, obviously. A lot of lamps in the Z. Well, a lot of lamps around Fallen London, actually. I can't say the same thing for the Z. And hey, found a new island. You can actually find a lot of stuff just by like pointing your ship's light over around like the coast and on islands and things like that. These things, whenever it says the air trembles, breath of change passes, you'll notice this thing appears. That something awaits you at port. SAYP, as some people call it. Ah, perfect. I've gained a secret because I found enough places. See, like I said, pages, very important. I will actually be talking to this guy. I think he only increases mirrors, which is much less useful for my purposes, but now we are here on Mutton Island. At Quaker's Haven. Once the simple fishing village was part of the London suburbs before London fell and the waters rushed in. Interesting. Smoke spirals from cottage chimneys. A lonely hill rises behind the town. A lot of these options I are locked because I don't have the prerequisites. In this case, I don't have the submarine. And as well, I don't have any terror, which, what the hell? I wasn't even looking at it this time, and I just noticed I never had any terror. I think it's because I was burning my lamp, so as long as you're burning your lamp, your terror will increase at half speed, and as long as you're near another light source, so it's like that one plus another one, you won't get any terror, so okay. This is the something awaits you at port. This little greenish glowy symbol is one of the most important things in the game because some things you can only do when you have this symbol. It only appears after you've been at sea for a while, so if you're trying to do like port hopping, jumping from place to place, you're never going to get it anywhere because this thing will never recharge, so to speak. Time or in this case, passing time is just specific to Mutton Island, but there are stats for the rest of the game, basically that dictate when certain events will be unlocked, things like that. Yeah. Chat with the fisherman. This one's actually interesting because this gives you a port report for a very modest fee. You just talk to the fisherman here, you pay him a single echo, and you get a port report. You never find much news on Mutton Island, but intelligence for the Admiralty. It's intelligence for the Admiralty, nevertheless. Whereas flying the waves, smokers at their work, Connaught ships, putting in to resupply. Nothing dramatic. Like I said, it's a tiny little island. This is a really, really good example of a tutorial island. Explore the shore. So these are the things I can do with this. Oh yeah, and I can pick up a wretched Mog, but I don't want that because it is useless, basically considering you have a comatose ferret. And the wretched Mog is basically the same thing. It's just another not very good mascot early game. The Wander the Shore, always an interesting option. It'll randomize it based on what your option is for here. So, for example, if it says the air trembles, a wind of change passes, it'll be different than if it says, for example, a sluggish wave, the ship pitches. That'll turn out something different. The hilltop above town is another option. A midnight ceremony, very interesting. As you can see, these things have little numbers next to them. It says challenges. Challenges are determined by your stats. Sometimes you're locked unless you have a certain amount of one stat, but usually they'll let you try even if you don't. In this case, I have lots of pages, so visiting the hilltop, whatever it is, I should succeed. I have a 100% chance of success. The midnight ceremony one, though, ink requires veils, of which I only have 25, meaning I have a 30% chance of success. Buy supplies from a dockside stall. So this would give you one supply at 30 echoes. That is so ludicrously expensive. I can't even believe it. Buy fuel for 20 echoes. Again, that's twice as much as it was in Fallen London, so never. I'm going to pick visit the hilltop. Let's see what there is. There's not much wind on the Undersea, but Mutton Island suffers eerie gusts and buffets from an inexplicable local fragment of weather, and the air on the hilltop sometimes carries interesting scents. Let's find out. The voice of the wind. You stand on a cliff top, looking over the whitewashed village. Sudden wind within, so pencil smudge, then nothing. The wind screams unexpectedly, like a god cut in half. The scream subsides, giving way to a susurrus that surrounds you suddenly with the illusion of whispering voices. You could swear you could hear the voices in the depths, under 7 poles. Nowhere, nowhere, nowhere. It must be the caves around the island channeling the air. At least that's the most comforting explanation. Below you, the locals take nips from a shared flask and make a toast toward the mainland. The wind is southerly. So, I succeed in pages, I've gained another secret, and every time you use that thing, you lose it, until you have spent enough time at Z. So now there's basically nothing else to do here, except leave, push off. I am going to continue to, actually, now that I've seen this, I know where, basically the interesting thing about Sunless Sea is that you might think, okay, well, you beat the game once, you've seen where all the islands are on the map, you know everything. Why don't you just, restart, and now you know where everything is, just go and pick your favorite route. It's not that simple. See, when you beat the game, when you die, whatever happens, when you start a new game, the map randomizes itself. It's not completely random, mind you. Some islands are in generally the same space, and some are fixed. Like Mutton Island is always here. I believe the London itself is always in London itself is always in the same location. This other place, which I'll be coming up to soon, called the Hunters. I think the Hunter's something. Is almost always in the same place. Same with Vanderbright. Same with basically everything along the coast. Really is in the same spot. Hunter's Keep. That's what it is. And here we go. By the way, I assume Bad Steveners is just supposed to be a pun on Steve Doers, I would assume, which is like another word. It's an older word for dock workers. The air trembles and breath of change passes. I keep getting this one. God damn. Oh yeah, Low Barrett. Interesting. It looks like another suburb of London fallen beneath the oceans when London fell. Hunter's Keep is a very close port and very, very interesting. It's really, really good, especially early game, for getting lots and lots of secrets. And it's also got a very odd lore around it. A hump of rock swathed in mist, like 100 other undersea islands. But here's a grand house, windows aglow, lawns impossibly green and lush in the false starlight. Remember, we're underground. We're essentially in a giant, like, massive cavern. Imagine a cavern the size of, like, I don't know, like Connecticut or the Montana, or if you're Canadian like I am, like a cavern the size of, I don't know, the main island of Newfoundland. Like, this is huge. Actually, bigger than that. Actually, just judging from the map size. This is like a cavern the size of, I don't know. Actually, I can't think of a really good scale. But, because of that, there's no sunlight down here. There's nothing. The best we have is the false stars on the ceiling. Raked gravel paths. You stand at the docks as the wedge nudges the ship's sides. Okay. So, you can present yourself to the house. Walk in the gardens, just in case. Recon. I assume that's basically reconnaissance the island, like taking notes, which is really good for the Admiralty. You can get a port report. Nothing changes, even the weather, the house, and the sisters. Yeah, nothing changes here. Or spy on the house, which, why not, really? Piano music. Oh, let's see. So, a half-open French window. A dark-haired, pale-skinned young woman bends earnestly over a piano keyboard. Another fair-haired, but unmistakably her sister, sprawls on the sofa with a book. A third sits by the fireplace, staring mournfully into the embers. Oh shit. Sorry, I just realized what that means, as you will probably find out. Soon, she says, and the piano music falters and stops. We will go hungry, and then the end will come. For me, but not for you. The pianist raises her eyes from the keyboard. Hush, if we don't speak of it. She frowns. Has she seen you in the window? You withdraw. So you now know something. You gained a lot of fragments from that. See, you can gain fragments from other things, but it's pretty rare. And now I present myself. Why not, right? The maid with smoldering topaz eyes shows you into the parlor. So, you have Cynthia, who is the eldest, and sort of dour. The noisy one is Phoebe, who I believe is the middle, or the youngest, and the cheerful one is the middle child, is Lucy. It's actually kind of important to remember that, because they each give you different things every time you visit. If you have this something awaits you, if you have that, they will each give you something different depending on what you choose. What's interesting is, oh yeah, that's what it is. So, I am going to choose, just off the bat, I'll choose Cynthia, the eldest. Melancholy, pensive, occasionally dramatic. You'll choose lunch with her, so her eyes are wide and blue. Her hair is wet and tangled, or wild and tangled. Bats may nest in it. It seems to you that you're sitting on a hillside above a wide blue lake, listening to a story of a murder, an axe, a net, blood on scented water. Another chop? Cynthia asks. You barely touched your food. Here, I'll have the maid wrap something up. You can't be hungry. It's not safe to be hungry. Jeez, I don't know what that means. So I've gained 1 terror, just from listening to that story. A tale of terror, very good. And that's all for now. I lost that. The something awaits you. I've gained 1 supply, which is nice. I've become acquainted with the Sisters of Hunter's Keep. I've been known to keep their company. I've lost all my hunger, which is excellent, as you can see. Iron didn't change. Sometimes random stats will, not random, but the game has a way of determining like which stats will increase. For example, if irons was below 25, I'm guessing it would go up. And now I have one of the three gods of the Z looking over me. Salt. There's salt, storm, and stone. Salt's an interesting one. Salt's actually probably my favorite one. However, now that I've given them, the time, they apparently don't have time for me. However, I do have recent news, which in this case I'm going to use. If you have recent news and you use it here, which of course, if you go to London, you probably have recent news because it's right there. Now I can talk to them again. I can choose a different one. In this case, I'll choose Lucy. She leans over and whispers to you confidently. A complex story about a butler, a pig, and an inheritance. You didn't follow all the details of the plot, but somehow the pig ends up in the attic and the butler in a vicar's bed. Candles flicker, dishes enter and leave, and the wind butts itself gently at the window panes. By the time the plum pudding arrives, you're as cheerful as you have been in months. I now have Stone's attention. Another interesting one, and I've lost that terror. Okay, I can't do any more, so I guess I'll leave it off from there, and I'll actually end this episode right here. Next, I'll push off and head to Vanderbright.